Welcome to my Bajerski YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a really painful experience that many of us go through, and there's a kind of double-edged sword. I use that again in my last video to this conversation, and I'm going to try and explain why and try and help you along this journey. And it's about your pets. Should you or shouldn't you leave your pet at the moment they're moving into their light? I guess that's the best way of putting it. So basically, you go to a veterinarian and leave your beautiful pet there because you can't face being with them when they're moving into their light. So let's talk about it. Do I have any experience? Thousands of people who went through that situation, and I read for them prior to it happening. They asked me, what does spirit feel? What do they feel is the best thing? Spirit normally used to say whatever feels right for you is what you should do. On a personal note, if you're asking me through going through this situation with my clients and with my own two beautiful schnauzers, Daisy and Dennis, I have now Lily is in my life. Never going to have a dog again after them two. Never again. See, you're not even here. You're invisible. You don't even exist. You're not even in my reality. Eh? You're an illusion. The best illusion that I ever had. So, yeah. Let's start at the beginning then. Let's talk about the spirit within the fursuit. The spirit within the fursuit is equal to the spirit within the spacesuit that you're in. They are no different from you and I. In fact, I would argue the fact that the more I get... I would argue the fact, must have been a good line. I would argue the fact that the more I get to know human beings, the more I love animals. What that means is that within the fur of this beautiful body, there is a heart, a spirit, love, compassion, kindness, a healer that nobody could ever truly understand. The power within this little animal here, this little soul, this spirit, outweighs, outshines my light by 1,000 to 1. So when people talk about the rainbow bridge and animals going to a different spirit world, I've never heard that before, only in books and heard people say it. But as a psychic and a healer and somebody who attunes to spirit, there was no difference from a spirit animal in this world than a spacesuit human being in this world. The spirit is equal, the same. We just have different a different spacesuit, that's all. So there's only so much you can use in that spacesuit. We only have vocals in that spacesuit as a doggy, but they still communicate to us in ways that are far more powerful than ours. That's why we know they're telling us something before they even show us. We can feel it because of their intuition, their power, and their psychic abilities. Anyway, going back to the diversified Mr. Bajerski, just get on with it. I know there's a lot of people out there now going through the stage of your little doggy or cat or your guinea pig. My guinea pig moved into the light on a long time ago, but that was really heartbreaking. I didn't realize how much I'd fallen in love with a guinea pig. Can you imagine? Yeah, incredible, really. The power and the spirit within the space, within the fursuit. Let's call it a fursuit. So you're going to ask me now, what do I feel is the best thing? I tell you what I feel, and I'll put it in a simple way. If you had a child and that child was born to you, came out of you, and you held it every day, and that child ended up being 7 or 8 years old, or 10 years old, or 16 years old, and then you found that child was ill and sick, and now the child has to go into hospital, and the child is on a breathing monitor, or they're wired up and they're ready to move into the light, what would you do? Would you walk away and say, okay, just, do whatever you need to do, but I don't want to be in the same room? I'm going to tell you something now. The 2 times that I've been in the arms of an animal, 3 times actually. One was a cat that got run over, and I picked her up and ran to the vet, and she died in my arms. But the time that my 2 schnauzers were riddled with cancer and they were in so much pain, the most heartbreaking thing for me was, when was the right moment? And to be honest, there isn't a right moment. You just feel it in your heart that they're tired, they're exhausted, and the pain is so much so that the selfishness within us that we want to keep them there has to disappear, and we've got to make the decision. So I went to Natalia and I said, it's time. And I sat with my first little beautiful boy, Dennis, and they came and they used the injection. And as I held him, I looked into his eyes all the way through and said, it's okay. You're okay. You're going to be fine. And I noticed that there was no suffering in his eyes or fear, because I had him. I was holding him. And that touch, that energy, that healing is like when you're in your mum's arms, when something's gone so wrong and you're in so much pain, that when you're in your mum's arms, that pain disappears. And that's the same to physical pain and fear. The one thing I knew was many veterinarians, and because of my thirst for knowledge, I used to ask them one question, and they always found it fascinating, and that is, do you feel that when somebody leaves their pet with you, it's a good thing, or do you feel it's better if you're there with them and holding them? And they always said the same thing, because what they saw was a fear in them with a stranger putting a needle into them and going to sleep. So if you did that and you couldn't face it and it was too much, that isn't a negative. That's just your journey and your path. There's nothing wrong or right with that. It was just your journey. This is merely an observation of how your little furry friend feels at the moment of moving into the light. So if you are at that point where the guilt is too much and you don't want to be there, I would say to you, I think you would far rather be there holding them at that moment than the regret of walking away because of the pain. I think you will understand, if you are there with them and hold them and look in their eyes till they move into the light, that you did a beautiful thing. And I am not here to judge anybody who didn't do that, because I understand it is a painful thing. But looking back, I would rather be in the arms of my beautiful Daisy and Dennis, who moved into the light in my arms, than not. Now that is a personal choice. That isn't anything to do with karma. It isn't anything to do with, you're a bad person. It's just the choice we make. You want to walk away and remember them in happiness and love, that's fine. It's okay. It's all an experience for us in this spacesuit and them in their fursuit. It is what it is. But maybe, just maybe, it might help you a little bit today. And that's, I guess, my experience through these 20 years of working in the spiritual field with animals that did move into the light while I was there. And I did work with a lot of animals in my time. But to be honest, I look at it this way. You're a great mum and dad to your pet. You've loved them, you've taken care of them. And I would say that amount of time far outweighs that the moment that they move into the light. And the fact that you've looked after them and you've loved them for even a short period of time or a long period of time shows that that is the most important thing in the world. So you're not judged on a certain moment in time that you shouldn't have done. It just is what it is. Okay? So be blessed, be happy, and whatever you do, remember you're an amazing, amazing mum and dad to a beautiful fur baby. Bye.